That's good. Okay. So here's a story. I said, no study of Hasidim and Rebbe Nachman is complete without actually reading one of his stories. And I just have up here, and while I'm saying this, you can look at it, and this is a summary of what I already mentioned last week about thinking. So while I'm talking, you can read it on your own. But he used stories as a way of reaching his people. It's not new. The idea of midrash is also speaking to the people in stories and images that they could grasp. And so there's a famous, at least to rabbis, argument, not argument, but a midrash about a midrash, in which two rabbis are in the public square, which is where they would gather and teach. And one is the great academician and head of the yeshiva, and there's maybe a dozen people around him. The other guy is no great academician, but he's got a story to tell, and thousands of people all around him. So after the crowds leave, the great academician goes to the other guy and says, I want to ask you something. I'm famous for this and famous for that, and degree in this and degree in that. And nobody comes to me. How do you get all your people? He says, look. He says, truth is, you are like a diamond merchant. You sell diamonds. I am a pins and needles guy. I sell pins and needles. Now, pins are much cheaper than diamonds, isn't it so? Right? So, but the truth is, right, who can afford a diamond? Not very many. So you get one person for your diamond, two people for your diamond. I sell pins and needles. Everybody needs pins and needles, and they can afford them. That's the difference. So Rebbe Nachman, like the Hasidic masters, period, knew that you get more with pins and needles than you get with diamonds. So, but his stories were never simple stories. Some of the other Hasidic stories are really very simple. It's easy to understand what's the point. In his stories, they go round and round and round. They're very similar. In fact, a lot of the material in his stories is very clearly taken from fake folk tales that are found, some in Jewish sources, some in non-Jewish sources. Right? There's some elements in this story that are from 1001 Arabian Nights. Other elements maybe from other more ancient sources. The source of the lost son of the king, who is, or the daughter of the king, trying to find something. These themes that repeat themselves. So that is what we're going to see in this story. So I've got my gang of readers. I'm going to start. I'll take the opening, my opening tale, The Lost Princess. Here's the cover page. You can see here, and many, many versions are very popular, have been reprinted. This one from Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan was a very good popularizer of Jewish, traditional thought and commentaries. Passed away as a young man, unfortunately, but he was doing a very good job making Jewish sources accessible. So we start, and I'm going to open in the Hebrew because the Rebbe of Berditchev, Rabbi Nachman, who has the same Hebrew name as I do, and that's why I like him, was a master of Hebrew. He wrote Hebrew to the people when they didn't speak Hebrew. So what he said in Yiddish and also in Hebrew. So I'll start it up in Hebrew, and then we're going to the Yiddish. I have to give it a Yiddish. Shayu lo shish abanim bat achat. Ot habat הייתה חשובה בעיניו מאוד, מחבבת ביותר, ומשתעשעת עמה מאוד. פעם אחת היה מתוועד עמה ביחד באיזה יום נעשה ברוגז עליה, נזרק מפיו דבר שלא טוב ייקח אותך. Der Nitgitter soll sich nehmen, right? Der Nitgitter, those of you know Yiddish. בלילה הלכה החדרה ובבוקר לא ירדו היכנים. ואביה מצטער מאוד, הלך לבקשה ואנה, עמד השני למלכוס, מחמס שירה שהמלך מצטער מאוד, ביקש שישנו לו משרץ וסוס ומאוס ועוד סוס, והלך לבקשה, ומבקשה מאוד זמן הרבה, מאוד עד שמצאה. Okay, so that I'm trying to restore the Hebrew as Rebbe Nachman. Okay, and so now the introduction in the English. On the way I told the story that whoever heard it had thought of teshuvah, return, and this is the story. The princess is lost. Once there was a king. The king had 6 sons and 1 daughter. The daughter was very dear to him, and he would cherish her exceedingly and play with her very much. When one time he was all together with her on a certain day, he became angry with her in the words, "Let the not good one take you away, the nit giver," and escaped from his mouth. And at night she went to her room, and in the morning no one knew where she was. Her father was very afflicted and went here and there looking for her. The viceroy arose because he saw the king was very distressed and asked to be given an attendant, a horse, and money for expenses. He went to search for her. He searched hard for her for a very long time until he found her. So now this is his journey. The crown of the princess, a little artwork in here. And Yoni, you do the first section here.
He went a long time in the deserts, fields, and forests, and was seeking her quite a long time. He was going around in the desert area and saw a way from the side. He went for a long time. Later on, he saw a castle and many soldiers standing around it. The castle was very beautiful, and the soldiers standing around it in fine order. He came to a palace, and saw the king sitting there with a crown. It was a very pleasant and beautiful there. He went, lay down in a corner, and to see what would be done there. He saw that the king called for the queen to be brought. They placed a throne for her and seated her next to him. And she was the king's daughter. And the viceroy saw her and recognized her. Later, the queen glanced and saw someone lying in the corner. She recognized him and rose from her throne, went to him, touched him, and asked, "Do you recognize me?" And he answered, "Yes, I know you. You are the king's daughter who was lost."
And so that's the castle. One illustration from Braslav organization. Imaginary castle way up in the clouds. And now, what happened? Nicole.
First of all, Rebbe Nachman, thank you for doing this. This is very nice of you. We appreciate it.
Good.
I'm going to read a little bit, and then Nicole's going to read a little bit.
Okay, good. Johnny. It's Johnny and Nicole.
So he asked her, "How is that you've come here?" She answered him, "Because my father the king let the word escape, namely that the not good shall take you. And here, this is the place that is not good." He told her that her father was very distressed and that he had been searching for many years. And he asked her, "How can I take you out?" She answered him, "You cannot take me out unless you choose for yourself a place and remain there for 1 year. And the entire year you must yearn for me to take me out. And whenever you have free time, you must only yearn, ask, and hope expectantly to take me out. And you must fast.
And on the last day of the year, you must fast, and you must not sleep the entire 24-hour period." He went and did so. And at the end of the year, on the last day, he fasted and did not sleep. And he arose and went there, that is, the king's daughter, to take her out. He saw a tree, and on it were growing very beautiful apples, and it was very desirable to his eyes. And he went and ate from them. As soon as he ate the apple, he fell down, and sleep overtook him. And he slept for a very long time. His attendant tried to wake him, but he could not be awakened at all.
Thank you, thank you. And this is our very confused and dazed story in the woods, lost. And then Judy? Judy Alkali?
Yes, I'm here.
You got the story?
I do.
Go ahead.
Later, he awoke from his sleep and asked the attendant, "Where am I in the world?" He, the attendant, told him the whole story. "You have been sleeping a very long time. It is already several years." He found her, the king's daughter. She lamented to him very much. "If you would have just come on the day, you would have taken me out of here. And because of 1 day, you lost. In truth, not to eat is a very difficult thing, especially on the last day, when the evil inclination becomes very strong. Therefore, choose for yourself a place again, and also stay there a year, as before, and on the last day you will be permitted to eat. Only do not sleep, do not drink wine, so that you will not sleep, because the main thing is sleep. He went and did so. On the last day, he was going there, and he saw a running spring. He went and tasted from the spring. He immediately fell down and slept many years, until 70 years. There sat the king's daughter. She stood next to him, went down and sat next to him, and recognized him. And she tried very much to wake him, but he could not be woken. She started to lament over him, that so many great efforts and toils you tortuously made these many, many years in order to take me out. And for one day, when you could have taken me out, you completely lost. And she cried very much about this. She said, "It is a great pity on you and me that I am here such a long time and cannot go out," etc. Afterwards, she took the scarf off her head and wrote on it with her tears and laid it down next to him and stood up and sat in her carriage and rode away.
So we see now another mysterious place, and we'll find out what it is as we come to the next chapter. Corey, go ahead. The Lament of the Prince.
Afterwards, he
Let me just get that back. Bring it down a little bit. There we go. Go ahead.
Afterwards, he awoke. He glanced and noticed the scarf lying next to him. He asked, "Who is this from?" He answered him, "She left it behind and wrote on it with her tears." He took the scarf and raised it up against the sun and began to see the letters. He read what was written there, her lamentation and her cries, as mentioned, and it was written there that now she is no longer in the castle. He should just search for a golden mountain and a pearl castle. There you will find me. Afterwards, he noticed a very large man whose largeness was beyond human bounds, and he was carrying a large tree, so large that in a settled area such a large tree would not exist. And he, the giant, asked him, "Who are you?" He answered him, "I am a man." He was amazed and said, "I have been in the wilderness such a long time now, and I have never seen a man." He told him the whole story mentioned above, and that he's looking for a golden mountain and a pearl castle. He replied to him, "It certainly does not exist." And he dissuaded him and said to him, "They have convinced you with nonsense, because it certainly does not exist. With certainty, it does exist in some place. In my opinion, it is nonsense. But because you are so stubborn, look, I am the appointee over all the animals. I will act for your sake and summon all the animals." They all replied they had not seen. He said to him, "See, they have talked nonsense into you. Look, I have a brother in the wilderness, and he is the appointee over all the birds. Maybe they will know, since they fly high in the air. Maybe they have seen this mountain and the castle. Go to him and tell him that I've sent you to him."
And this from a cover from a Hebrew version of the story, and probably designed for children, Me'avedat Bat HaMelech, from the story of the loss of the daughter, the princess. And you see these armed guards standing to guard her. And so I'm going to wrap up and tell you what happened. It went many, many years. Again, he found a very large man as before, also carried a large tree, and also questioned him as before. This certainly does not exist. The vice also disputed with him. It certainly does exist. Called up all the birds and asked all of them from small and large, and they answered him that they do not know of any such mountain and castle. So don't you see, it's certainly not here in the world. So further in the wilderness is my brother. Is appointee over all the winds, and they run over the whole world. Maybe they know. found the man again. Not one of them knew of the mountain and the castle. He said to him, that's the third man now to the viceroy, don't you see that you have been told nonsense? The viceroy began to cry very much, said, I know it surely does exist. And just then he saw that another wind had arrived. The appointee became angry with him. Why have you so delayed in coming? Didn't I decree that all the winds should come? Why didn't you come with them? He answered, I was delayed because I had to carry a king's daughter to a golden mountain with a pearl castle. The appointee over the winds replied to the viceroy, since it is such a long time you've been searching for, you've spent so much effort, and perhaps you now will have a hindrance to the money, therefore I'll give you a vessel, just that when you put your hand into it, you'll get money from there. And he summoned the wind to carry him there. Storm wind came and carried him and brought him to the gate. Standing there were soldiers who did not let him enter the city. He put his hand into the vessel, took out money and bribed them, and went into the city. It was a beautiful city. He came to a man of means and rented food and lodging for himself. For one must remain there, for one needs to see with wisdom and intellect in order to take her out. And how he took her out, he did not tell, but in the end, he took her out. Amen. So that's the story of the lost princess. And so now the question is, besides a beautiful children's story, you can see how it's been done as a children's story with a pretty picture of a cloud carrying the seeker and some magic castle, right? Story for children. But like we know, so many stories for children are really for adults. Alice in Wonderland, Gulliver's Travels, right? Written, children enjoy them, but there are all sorts of hidden meanings and messages buried in them for the adults. So you have to know a little bit of Kabbalah and tie it in with Jewish history also. So when we talk about the king is the top emanations of the Sfirot, the top three. That's the Chochmah Bina Da'at, or Keter Chochmah Bina Da'at, Keter Chochmah Bina, the crown, the Ein Sof, the Jewish Trinity, close to it, in that sense. That's the unknowable, the ineffable. Who else do we have? Well, we have the Halot Tov, the no good one shall take you. That is the Sitra Achara. That is the deep side, the dark side. This the force of darkness that is on the other side of creation. And then 6 sons, 6 Sfirot. Those are the ways that God, the unknown and invisible and infinite, becomes expressed in the forces of the universe through 6 emanations. Again, these are, Kabbalistic images: Chesed, Gvura, grace, power, Tiferet, grandeur, Netzach, eternity, Hod, majesty, and Yesod, the foundation. And foundation is a masculine emanation. And then foundation, Yesod, ties in with Shekhinah, Malchut, the queen, the matron. And that is the prince's daughter. That is the connection between heaven and earth, is through the prince's daughter in Kabbalistic thought. And we know in Jewish stories, we talk about the Shekhinah Begalut. The Shekhinah is in exile, right? And so Kabbalah takes it even further. So it's the point of interaction between God and the world. And it is as a man is joined to a woman in the metaphor. So in classic Kabbalah, Shekhinah has been ripped asunder from the realm of the Sfirot. The male and the female have been disrupted. It's been captured by the Sitra Achra, the dark side, the other side. And it's there trapped. And that is how Kabbalah sees what is the problem in the world. So who's the viceroy then? Who saves the world? The only one that can save the world is not the king, but the viceroy. It's the viceroy who is the human being. The human being is created to serve a greater purpose. Right? So we have a human being with a greater purpose, restore the universe to its pristine purity. And of course, we look at the story from a Jewish perspective. The very first test fails. What is that? The apple, right? Adam's apple. Then comes the second test, and he fails again. And they talk about 70 years. 70 years is the period from the first destruction till the rebuilding of the temple, or from the first exile, just before the destruction to the return. About 7 years go by. Jeremiah talks about it in the after 7 years. So now, what he is given now is a scarf written in tears. Scarf written in tears. Now, what is the scarf written in tears? It's the Torah, the written Torah, the oral Torah, the traditions, and the mystical Torah, that which has been revealed and that which is hidden. Right? So this is what we have to hold on to. We have this in writing, and we have the tradition that tells us, it's telling us how to search and how to find. And so now, the rest of it is now the Jew, the devout Jew, is struggling with passions and failings, the Jewish people constantly failing and then coming back up, but not giving up on the quest, being mocked and being derided as fools. That is what it meant to be a Jew for 2,000 years of exile, Christian and Muslim. And later on, the rationalists looked at the devout Jew and said, "You're idiots, you're fools." And what this kept the Jews going is, as Rebbe Nachman is telling us, we are not going to give up on the quest. And then eventually the redemption comes. Personal redemption, individual on a quest, the people on request, the universe on request. And there is what this Rebbe is trying to get in this story. At least that's my take on this story. And just for your artistic purposes, this is a rendition of the Sefirot in Kabbalistic lore. You can see how the top three, Keter, Chochmah, Bina. Do you understand Chabad, where they get their name from? Chochmah, Bina. It is Keter, Ha. Yeah, but instead of Keter, they use Das. That's the change. It is Chochmah, Bina, Das. The knowledge that. And it's all part of that. And then the 6 central Sefirot, the masculine and the feminine, right? All in the in Kabbalistic law. So that is our story. I hope you enjoyed it. And as a little takeaway from it, also, let me just remove this, and remove this, and get it out of the way. There we go. Where am I going to? What's my screen doing to me? Good. All right. My screen is just starting to freeze on me. Okay, so now let me share this with you. Children's version of this.
כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד. כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד. La
So, all right, put this back up, right? Rebbe Nachman, his story, his slogan, the whole world is a very narrow bridge, but the main point is never be afraid, right? The viceroy in the story crosses that very narrow bridge of human existence, is not afraid, does not give up. And you see those children right? Every child is proof that God has given up on us. So let us go now back to Cantor-Propus. We're going to wrap up our service. I want to thank Corey and Nicole, Johnny, Yoni, for joining with us in the readings. Johnny and Nicole are dear friends of ours that joined
and Judy.
And Judy, thank you. Judy.
You're welcome.
Wait. Judy. That is a line in the movie. What movie was it? I think about Garland, doesn't it?
Actually, it was.
Go ahead.
Very good, but not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it was attributed to Cary Grant, but in reality, he never said it.
Oh, never. Okay. Well, we mean it, Judy. Thank you. Okay.
You're very welcome.
Okay. So let's go wrap up our service with Enkel Ohino, then Cantor-Propus. And this one he is doing in conjunction with Cantor Finkelstein. We have the right one. Surprises. That's it. Yeah. And we're going to finish up with Halino. And we'll all join in together. Aleinu l'shabeach lada on harkol, l'tiknu le'otzei b'shit, shelo tzargei haratzot v'lo zimadu mishpachot adama, shelo sam karkeinu kahem v'gor v'leinu b'chol ha'madam, v'nachnu korim, u'mishtachavim, u'modim, lifnei melech, Ki Adonai Elohim Bashamayim Imam Yalaretz Mitachardeinu. And we add the last line, which is not in here. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech ha'aretz Bayomahu yeh Adonai echad U'shema echad. And add a word from our sponsor, Hollywood Temple Bethel. Just a reminder to those of you who are watching us on Zoom or following on Facebook or coming onto this later on through Facebook or YouTube, Hollywood Temple Bethel. You're welcome to participate in Zoom or on Facebook and help us out so we can keep on serving the Jewish community in our area and theoretically worldwide if we're online. So there we go. There's my message.
We've had people from Paris.
I have, yeah. We had Tennessee. We had somebody from New York. People coming. That's right. So there's our message. And now we have in our thoughts and hearts those who are no longer with us. Those whose yahrzeits are commemorated.
No, Rabbi, I sent you the list separate from this. It's not here. Remember, I sent it to you by SMS.
Right. So I have.
These are from last year. Oh,
I updated.
Oh, you put them.
That's
Okay.
Yeah. So ignore the dates there. I've just updated onto this. Yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
we recall Jenya Shinder, Harry Drato, the son of Barbara Drato, the husband of Jenny Drato, and Celia Weinstein. May their memories be for a blessing. May the soul bound up in the bond of eternal life. And we continue with the Kaddish, which is found here on the screen. The morning Kaddish, those who are saying Kaddish, please join with me. Itkadal, V'yitkadash Rabba, V'yamad Gibra Chilutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, B'chaychon, V'yamechon, V'chol Beit Yisrael, B'agalav Zman Karivim Ramein, Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Golam Me'amaya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yipa'ah, V'yitmam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitada'a, V'yitalev, V'yithalal, Shemei Dikucha, B'richu, Le'ela Min Kol Birchata, Ashirata, Tishbachata, V'nechamata, Damyam B'yamar, Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya, B'chaim Aleinu V'Koysev Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimramav, Uyas Hashem Aleinu V'Koysev V'imru Amen.
Amen.
May the Holy One who makes peace in the heavens above grant peace to us, to all people, to Israel, and let's all say Amen.
Amen.
And we're going to wrap up with Adon Olam. And again, I have a little different version. You said parrots, Yanni. I'm going to take it's the parrots for Adon Olam. in Paris. That they said no longer.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ננסה בחטאו כל אזי בלשמו שמו נקרא ננסה בחטאו כל אזי בלשמו שמו נקרא
So we wrap up our Shabbat service in Paris. All right, take us around the world. Next, what I want to do Because we talked about this, people have asked me about what about some of the stuff, you get My Heritage and the Ancestry.com stuff, and you do your swab test. What do you find out? So it leads me to the question of, well, who are Jews? Where did Jews actually come from? Does this tell us anything? Because there are all sorts of speculations as to whether we really are Jews, who claims to be Jews, what do we mean by Jews as an ethnic group, and then that takes me into, well, what kinds of Jews are we? Flavors, we have different flavors. So we know our Iranian friends, we've got Sephardic Jews,